With the revitalization effort underway in the city of Braeburn, new construction signs were a frequent sight as buildings were remodeled, rezoned, or simply built anew. One such construction that brought much talk to the city was that of the Braeburn Ferris Wheel, a gigantic structure in its own right that was engineered to fit perfectly in one of the older blocks on Pacific Street. But not all the talk around this Ferris wheel was positive. Many business owners protested this construction as it took away vital zoning space that was once theirs. Despite this, the city of Braeburn continued with the construction in hopes that the Ferris wheel would compete with Bunyan's Rest as a tourism destination. Heyo and welcome to another episode of Pine Harbor County, where we will use and abuse the new operating district mechanic that was introduced in Cities Skylines 2. And I hope everyone has had a phenomenal past week as we are back in the city of Braeburn after our last viewer-suggested video, which brought a revitalization plan to this area. This week we are going to continue with our revitalization plan as we place another unique building in our county and use specific zoning to prompt a much more attractive skyline along the waterfront in Braeburn. So sit back, relax, and let's jump right on into building. So the first piece of business I want to jump into is actually placing the Ferris wheel in this block right here. Upon deciding to revisit this area of Braeburn and restart its construction, I realized that the Ferris wheel fit perfectly in this block. So if you've ever heard the saying, if it fits, it sits, then you completely understand my sentiment when it comes into placing the Ferris wheel here. It fits too perfectly. Way too perfectly. So let's come on in and let's go into our Parks and Recreation, our landmarks, and let's get the Ferris wheel nestled right in this area, right next to, facing Pacific Street. Oh, that's just so good. See what I mean? It just fits so perfectly. Originally, we had thought to put the Ferris wheel over by the Technical University and Bunyan's Rest, but those council members seem to have just beat Bunyan's Rest to the punch, has claimed this landmark. And honestly, I think it looks absolutely phenomenal right here. And if we zoom out just a little bit across the bay, it just adds that little bit of height back into this area here so that this can stay a little bit lower in height, taper out, and build back in here, and then taper out again. It's just so good. Okay, so let's come in here real quick. Let's rename this to the Braeburn Ferris Wheel. And then let's also come into this segment of Pacific Street and let's change it to a 4-lane divided road. I want to give people the ability to try to make a U-turn here. So now that it looks like it might not actually work the way I had so hoped. So let's try a little trick here. Let's grab the 4-lane divided road, just put on straight for now, and let's see if we can make a node. Okay, and now let's get the 5-lane asymmetrical. Okay, that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. But I do still want to come in here. I want to put the trees on the center with a set of grass in the middle. I had wanted to make it so people could U-turn right here, but it doesn't look like it's pathing that way. Whether the cars do U-turn there or not, I honestly don't know if they will. But the idea was I wanted to make it so that they could just U-turn and then come hang out here. But this will still work for now, and I just wanted to reposition the trees to be more in the middle. So that way you had a little bit of division and change and diversity in the road as you're coming down Pacific Street here. And dang, that skyline. Whew, we did good on that skyline right there, guys. All right, so the next thing I want to actually do is come on into these blocks here and chunk them out a little bit with some zoning. And I want to try to cheat the zoning a little bit and force some corners into here. So what I'm thinking of doing is coming on in and first grabbing a parking lot. I'm placing a parking lot right here. And then seeing if we can draw an alley right behind it without breaking this gorgeous corner right here. And then let's see if we can do the same down here. Nice. Okay, so I did one more kind of off camera here real quick because I wanted to try to square off right here as well. And the reason I was doing that is because there is specific zoning I want to get in here. There is a gorgeous little 4x4 mixed, what's this word? Mixed housing that I want to get right on in here and just try to create nice corners here. So let's come on in and let's zone this all up and then build it on out. All right, now that everything is built in, let's kind of zoom in and let's take a look. That is actually a really gorgeous little asset right there. I'm gonna have to remember that. 3x6. Makes a really nice little asset. Still too small of homes though, which is kind of annoying. Awesome. Okay. I think that should work out pretty well for what we are looking for. Probably actually see if I can get a taller one right there. But yeah, I think that came out pretty darn nice. Okay, so for block number 2, I want to keep kind of the same concept where we break up the monotony of the grid with some parking and some recreational parks as well. But we do add in a significant amount of residential in this area. So I'm thinking this would be a really awesome time for some underground parking. So I'm going to face one this direction and one in that direction. And then let's come on in with some medium density housing. And just fill this on in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll put a 6x6 on this side as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's not 6. I can count today, guys. There we go. And we'll put a 6 right there as well. Actually, I think I want to move that 6 over one block. Just like so. And then we'll also get a pedestrian path that runs so we can make a nice little courtyard as a backyard for some of these bigger apartment buildings. All right, let's let that grow in and see how it looks. Okay, so let's come on in, take a look at this one here as well. And this one is a tad bit sparser, and I'm actually okay with that because it gives us the opportunity to make some more chunkier assets right here in this zoning space here when we get to this. So I think I'm going to be okay with that. Awesome. Now I think in this third block right here, we have a really great opportunity to provide this area with some more jobs, especially since after demolishing everything, our unemployment rate jumped up to 7.6. And we certainly have demand for everything, like always. So I think we're gonna play around with this one a little bit. I think we should add some office zoning into this area. And I'm debating if I want high rise or low rise at the moment. I think let's try a couple of different versions and see what we like. I really love abusing the parallel pathway tool. All right, let's zoom on out and let's let this build itself in a little bit. Okay, so I kind of like how that came out. I kind of like that you can still see the tower in Bunyan's Rest off in the background and the density back there. I was a little afraid about these office buildings not being chunky enough, but I think when they start leveling up, I think it will be just fine. And then you're gonna notice that I pulled the parallel paths out this way. This shape was actually not originally intended. It kind of just ended up happening. But I think then when we come in to do the strip right here, having a little bit of garden space and maybe some parks wouldn't be too bad of an idea to help break up the chunk a little bit. And by breaking up the chunk, it'll actually hopefully draw a little bit more attention to it. So yeah, I kind of like how that came out. All right, so some of the last zoning before we start decorating this area up is this strip right here. And I already know right away the different types of zoning I want to place in this area. So let's actually just come straight on in and let's start building that in, because I think once, I mean, I'm just really excited to see how it's going to look against the Ferris wheel, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy how it looks also. So let's come on in and let's work this out a little bit. So I know I'm going to want to put a chunkier building right here. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I meant to do. 6 by 6. And there's actually, yeah, we'll wait till this spawns in, but I want this sort of height. I want to see what spawns in, because sometimes I notice that this crane is a bit, what's the word I want to use? It's a bit of a liar. It lies sometimes, where you'll think you're spawning in an asset about yay tall, and then it just gives you this this chunk. And I like chunk, but sometimes you just need less. So we'll also add in. So we'll do the same thing right there. Oop. There we go. And we'll let these spawn in while we get the rest of the zoning in. And I think for the most part, we're going to keep the rest as commercial. All right, and now let's switch over to some North American for a little while here. Let's just get some big chunky ones. So 6 by 6, 5, 6. It's so funny because sometimes I say that I know exactly what I want to spawn in, and then I decide differently when I'm actually recreating what I had planned. Okay, let's give that a moment to kind of spawn in and build up. That's what I was excited for. These are the only 2 buildings I want to give the opportunity to become higher than this. And I'm honestly still going to probably monitor them, as I don't want them getting too high. So we'll keep an eye on that. And this is how it looks from the back. I wanted these specific assets because I wanted the windows on the back. These are more just to kind of change up the monotony of these ones. But I think I like how it came out for the most part. So I want to add just a couple more things to the strip and then probably start decorating this area up. All right, and lastly, in this area of the strip, I want to add in 2 parks because they fit really, really well. Move this one over, I think one more. Nah, never mind, it's going back. I want to add in these 2 parks just to add a little bit of decoration to this green area here. And obviously we will decorate more during the Beautifying the Build time lapse. And then I just want to build an incredibly simple, very straight pathway here. Because I want to provide pedestrians a place to connect with the trans stop, which you can't see right now, but I promise you it does exist. See the trans stop right here. And we'll just connect it in right there, because then they can even walk down this pathway if they want. But interconnected pathways, that was the goal. So yeah, I think that's okay. This bothers me that this isn't straight. But I think I can do that instead. All right. Awesome. Okie dokie. Now that we have everything built in, let's jump on into a Beautifying the Build time lapse and get some foliage in this area, especially before winter sets in. Alrighty everyone, that just about wraps up today's episode. If you're new to the channel, we post City Skylines content every Thursday, so consider subscribing so you are notified of each new episode, and check out the playlist for Pine Harbor County so that you can see how the county has grown thus far. If you enjoyed today's episode, then you know the thing. Hit that like button and let me know your favorite part down in the comments. Until next time, I hope everyone has a phenomenal week.